evening with us. This is the 7th webinar hosted by PIETRISCO PROSE, and in our cycle of webinars, we have focused our attention on health humanities and narrative medicine, and we have embraced narrative prose, autobiography, poetry, cinema, and graphic novels to see, among other things, how we can best work with this artistic production in the area of health humanities. And in this 7th webinar, we will add another important piece to this already nuanced puzzle. And the title of this webinar, Performability, Theatre and Health Humanities, in a way anticipates a journey in the world of theatre and disability. A journey into which we will be led by the theatre company Shifting Point Punto in Movimento of Verona, in dialogue with Mick Greer of the School of Arts and Humanities, University of Lisbon. A journey, the one proposed in this evening, in this evening's webinar, we are also working on at the University of Verona as a part of a project on performability we are developing with the Scanner Research Center. Few technical details before leaving the floor to my colleague and friend Sidia Fiorato, who will describe the theatre company in more detail. So first of all, this lecture, as the previous one, will be recorded and then it will be available on YouTube. So if you don't want to appear on the screen, please turn your camera off. And I also kindly ask you to mute your microphone so that there is no interference. Then there will be time for questions at the end of the lecture. So you can either raise your virtual hand so that we can see that you want to ask a question, or alternatively, you can send a question through the chat. And then some students have asked if they can have a certificate of attendance, and yes, you can have it. You just need to request it through the PIETRISCO email. Last but not least, our next lecture, Disability and Children's Literature, in Zemira Festa and Manuela Salvi, in dialogue with Chiara, Battisti and Sidia Fiorato, will be on the 15th of December. And now, without any further delay, I give the floor to Sidia Fiorato.
Thank you very much, and I would like to join Chiara and welcome you all to this evening's webinar devoted to theatre and the health humanities, together with the theatre company Punto in Movimento. I would only like to introduce a remark. So the etymological meaning of theatre is connected to the act of looking. And Enrico will show us how the gaze can be redirected and led to the discovery and revelation of new perspectives, which put under discussion the categorizing function of language with specific reference to the so-called disability. And now I would like to give the floor to Enrico Totola.
Well, thank you very much, Sidia, and thanks to everyone. Like, it's a great opportunity to be here, and I'm here with my mother, Marina, and we are representing the company Punto in Movimento, Shifting Point. And I want to thank, firstly, the PIETRISCO, Professor Rossella Roccobono, Professor Carmela Pierini, Professor Chiara Battisti, and of course, Sidia Fiorato, and also Professor Mick Greer, that is going to be my host tonight. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
And yes, so let's start with this interesting project that we had. It's called Nights Without Fear, which represents the theater and the connection between theater and disability and people with disabilities. You can go next slide, please. And so our company, Punto Movimento, we started in 1992. My mother and my father started it. And
yes, the company is directed by Roberto Totola,
yeah,
and me in collaboration.
Exactly.
We deal with the theater, singing, musical, dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, acrobatic and cinema, and is dedicated to the training of the actor, the dancer, and the artist.
Yeah, the artists in general, like 360 artists, basically, everything that develops around it. And we have different students. We go from children to adults, like everyone completely. And we have as well, I believe it's 3 or 4 groups. Yeah, 3 groups.
3 groups of
disabled people. With disabilities. Next slide, please. this is a couple of pictures from our theater that we opened in actually 6 years ago right now. And yeah, it's called Fonderia Aperta Teatro, which it's a very interesting location.
Yes, we have two spaces.
Yeah.
One is Punto in Movimento, Shifting Point, is in Verona, in Vicolo Madonnina 9, and is our laboratory,
Yeah.
our school.
It started everything from there, basically. That's the first place that we opened.
And then we have Fonderia Aperta Teatro, that is a theater, obtained from a didactic foundry of a school, a technician school.
Yeah,
so,
the Liceo Ferraris here in Verona.
So the foundry is inside the theater. Our theater is, our masters are Grotowski, Stanislavski, Meyerhold, Barba, Lee Strasberg, Brook.
Peter Brook, yeah.
In particular, Peter Brook.
Yeah. And next slide, please. I believe, yes, exactly. And that's one of the quotes that we took up from Peter Brook, and it's one of the main ones. And
why Peter Brook?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the thoughts.
I mean, he's a great supporter of the idea that during rehearsals, everything can be questioned. And these are the means basically to achieve the evolution of ideas. Like you can question anything, and which make the theater better than life, basically. And according as well to Peter Brook, to get the heart of things, you have to create sort of a void around things, discover them naked. So you need to completely wipe yourself of everything. You need to be blank. That's why also the blank of the space, an empty space and actors. And in the end, basically the whole body of the actor, the energy of the body, the magnetic exactness of the body and everything can be put together to create what actually the actor is, like the final product. And with the concept of empty space, we connect to the idea of cleaning, as I was saying before, which is removing all that is not strictly necessary and intensify what remains. So yeah, basically all the scenography is removed and takes away everything inside a scene, for example, and it just leaves the essential, the parts that basically made, for example, that can be more expressing more than maybe, I don't know, a chair or something. It could be even one object, or it could be even nothing, completely nothing. But it needs to be thought about it, and needs to be create beforehand, and yeah, so you can get the whole picture of it at the end. You can go next slide. Yeah, here are some elements of our work, and we have the actors workshop. We have exercises and improvisations. We work a lot with improvisations, which we believe it's one of the fundamental and the foundation of actual acting, and to create, for example, as well characters, because we believe that characters needs to come from the actor itself. Like we do not teach our actors, our students, to how to impersonate, how to impersonate a character, how to I don't know, how to study Hamlet. We have no criteria. There's no rule. It's more of you know, expression of themselves. It's more of a mixture of technique and as well inner soul. So each actor has the possibility to express themselves following, obviously, the technique. Yeah. But it's not too much technique and it's not too much inner self, because it's a sort of a balance between the two. And that's what Peter Brook was actually, that's why we follow Peter Brook idea.
You can read this
yeah.
one.
So as I was saying, the Actors Workshop, we have exercises and improvisations, study of the correspondence of gesture, attitude, posture, or work with a particular emotional involvement, and the ability to recreate them necessarily stemming from the technical and mechanical physics of the actor. Number two, becoming able to translate anything into theatrical language, voice, body, rhythm, etc. Practical exercises, and then building a path, which is a process based on the acquired practical exercises. We normally start since the beginning of an academy here, we always start with lots and lots of exercises, games, improvisations, and that's how we build up the path of the actor. Then number 3, implementation of a true acting that starts from an awareness of the context and physical resistance, and that can take place simultaneously with the management of the vectors of force that create the dramatic conflict, understanding and artistically developing an emotional development and converting into science. And number 4, to be able to improvise in class and prepare exercises and technical etudes independently or in a group as well. We work a lot with groups, and we believe that the group is very important in the field of theater. You can go next slide, thank you. Our goals, it's discover the world of theatrical artistic expression, advance in the knowledge of and enhancement of oneself and others, progress in the self-control of one's own movements, behaviors, enhance imaginations and creativity through theatrical exercises, reworked from the workshop of Grotowski, Stanislavski, Eugenio Barba, Lee Strasberg, and Peter Groups, and many others. This is very important because we have our own exercises. We have the main exercises, the ones that maybe Grotowski and Stanislavski wrote about. But it's very interesting also to mix these sort of arts and create new ones, and as well letting the actual students, the actual actors, to create their own exercises, create their own path to achieve their goals. Then we establish adequate communication and relationship based on mutual respect. That's very important as well. Everybody needs to respect each other. If there's no respect, there's no work. You cannot work in a group without respect. That's one of the main things that we teach here. Advance in the understanding of the times, signs, rhythms, music, proper to the language of theater. This is very interesting as well, because it means that, for example, there's very interesting exercise that we often do. It's we have a little ball, and basically the exercise works that the group makes a circle, and everybody passes between each other this ball, but everybody needs to take it once. And so there's this sort of a path that the ball basically makes, and then it goes backwards. And that's very important because you need to understand the rhythm of the theater is very strict. Like you cannot miss a spot, you cannot miss anything. You need to be always ready for the ball, for example, that goes forward and goes backwards as well. You can go next slide, please. And a couple of points about our work. We have the training of the actor, plastic exercises, theatrical acrobatics, improvisation, spoken language technique, breathing and phonetics. This is very important as well. Development of theatrical exercises in expressiveness, rhythm and melody, sound, voice, speech, singing in theater, studying and exercises.
If you want to speak about the singing in theater?
Yeah, singing in theater is very, it's interesting as well, because it's a very important discipline, the singing side of it. Also because singing and acting, it's not that different between each other, because the way to act and the way to, for example, breathe when you need to shout out a line or a monologue, it's the same as singing. There's no difference. And that's why it's very important to study both of the things, because singing actually helps you a lot with the theatrical part, the breathing part, and as well the rhythm. It's super important. Okay, next slide, please. And here we go with a couple of more points, which are really, really important. The first one, the actor must remove everything that blocks him. You don't have to teach how a character plays or how he moves. That's what I was saying before as well. We do not teach how to play a character. We do not teach how he moves. Like, we need, an actor needs to be blank, a complete blank space, and he needs to fill himself with emotions and with the character. So what he believes that the character is, he's gonna play, he's gonna portray it. We do not teach how. We just teach how to be blank and how to express themselves at the fullest. All this will have to come from himself or herself, as I was saying. The realization of the actor represents or implies the overcoming of limits of everyday life, of the intimate conflicts between body and soul, intellect and feeling, psychological pleasures and spiritual aspirations. This is very interesting as well. Acting, it's often put very close to the therapeutic side. And I think it's because it's really because of this reason. We live in a society that mostly we kind of follow rules, and maybe sometimes we put on some masks. We are different people maybe outside than we are actually inside. You know, it's kind of, for some people it's also an escape route. It's a realization of themselves. It's a way to find themselves. It's a way to find their pleasure. It's everything for some people, and that's why it's very interesting as well.
Yes, if you teach, you can block. If you teach something, come si dice, di testa.
Yeah, if you think too much, if you teach too much, the mental side of it.
Yeah, you can block the person.
Yeah, you can block a person, exactly. You can.
The technique must come later and
slowly. Yeah.
Slowly.
Like we do not teach the technique right away. Like it's more of a longer path. So maybe for the first 3 months or 4 months, we just go on with exercises, games, so the group get to know each other, they make friends, they make bonds. And after, we start to teach maybe more technique, more work on the actual characters, or work more on the actual, technique, like theory. Mm-hmm. Next slide, please. Now about our work with the disability people. The dream of Night Without Fear. This is a very, if Mike wants to take a word, if you would like to, I don't know.
Yeah, well, first, thank you very much, Roberto. Yes, first and foremost, thank you very much indeed to everyone concerned in Portugal and Italy for this opportunity. Wonderful. I'm very, very happy to be here. I was talking to Roberto and Marina a little bit yesterday, and this is a new adventure for me. I have no previous experience of theatre and disability, and without giving anything away, no spoilers, I've been lucky enough to have a sneak preview of The Dream of the Nights, and it was an absolute revelation. I think we're going to see some bits later on, yes. So very much to look forward to. We're going to come. I have to ask you about the title in a moment, but if you don't mind, thanks for that introduction. Fantastic. It sounds really. I'd love to go over there and do the course myself with you. I'm not good enough. No, but no. Joking aside, I was going to say, how did you said obviously that you work, of course, with physically and mentally challenged participants. Yes. I really wanted, having seen the documentary, I mean, they're performers. They are performers. I mean, yes, they are. How did that idea come about for the theatre to get involved in that area? And did you have to adapt any of your courses to facilitate their entry?
Ok.
Io tutto in inglese, però posso imbeccare. Sì.
I'd love to be able to ask in Italian, but sadly,
no, it's all right.
Okay.
My shame.
18 years ago.
Ma 2 anni precedenti non eravamo organizzati completamente.
So basically, we started actually 18 years ago to work with them, but the first 2 years we were not completely organized to open up a course, and we just worked in their facilities, and we go over there and just did some theater courses to them. After these 2 years, we opened a course here in the theater and in our school, in another facility. And yeah, we started to work because the first times it was between us, right?
Yes, but for Marco.
Yeah, for Marco Di Marzo. It's our friend and our light technician, basically. Yeah. His job, he's one of the operators that works for IAS. And so he basically introduced us to...
Yeah, at the beginning was only...
IAS, to the organization.
Yeah, only curiosity.
Yeah, it was curiosity at the beginning,
For us, a new...
I mean, it's a new experience. we had a couple of disabled people in our groups
Yes.
already, but there were more, just a couple of them, I remember. And so we started this course. It was really interesting at the beginning because I was really little, so I do not remember completely, but I can say what I can remember.
Yes.
It was really amazing for me as a child as well to cooperate and to see, you know, like to get known to also the disabled people, because it's a way to change yourself inside, you know. It changes a person, and for us it was really important to start this project, because we created, I think, an opening for them and for us as well, and the creativity that it came out from these courses, it's amazing, it's insane, it's unbelievable.
Per noi è importante che loro siano trattati esattamente come tutti gli altri.
Yeah, and for us the importance of this of our course, so obviously it's to treat them as we treat everything else, so everyone else. So we do not.
Che cambia.
No, there's no change between them and, let's say, normal people. Okay, that's no difference completely.
Solo
It's the same.
Le possibilità che ognuno ha e lo fa con le proprie possibilità.
Exactly. They maybe everybody has their own possibilities. So if they have problems with an exercises, they can do it in their way. There's no problem at all. We do not have rules. We do not have distinction. All the same.
And have to go to the title, the Dream of Nights Without Fear. If you could tell us where did that come from? It's a wonderful title.
Yeah. So this title came from actually an improvisation that they did, and one of them
about the medieval time.
About the medieval times, exactly. And they were playing nights, and one of them decided to just shout out this title, Cavalieri senza paura, the Knights Without Fear.
I am a knight
without fear. That's how it started, and then everyone else just decided to take their own. 15 people keep saying it. 15 people. Yeah, just repeating it and kept saying it, and so we decided Roberto, my father,
say, okay, for us is Night Without Fear.
Yeah, and so from there the project started, and we decided to develop it to, you know, create firstly a theater show, a show, and after we created as well short movies.
E altri spettacoli and other shows.
Between the years, it's a very long project.
It's a project that we want to continue during the next years.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Could you say the Italian title again? I'm sorry.
Yes, Cavalieri senza paura.
Everything always sounds better in English. I mean, it works beautifully in English.
Yeah.
The Italian is wonderful. I just wonder, you were saying about sort of groups and individually. Just as a sort of a more of a personal thing, I'd be interested in, do you find that these particular participants, do they work better on their own? Do you find it easy to put them into groups? Do they work better in groups or individually? Is what I'm asking. Or is it the same?
It's kind of the same, but it mostly depends on the individual ones. Maybe a couple or 3 of them. Sometimes they get, you know, kind of problematic in groups, but it's as well as normal people, let's call them. It's just the same. It's not really an issue, let's say.
Right.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
They actually enjoy to be in a group. They love to do things in a group, and they have fun. Rather than being alone.
Alcuni di loro però sono molto prime donne.
Yeah. Some of them they love to, you know, stand out and be
prima donna,
and be the prima donna, like the actor, the main characters of the story. That's what they love. And they get mad if you don't let them.
And they guide the lesson. They guide the lesson. They guide the rehearsal. They decide. If Roberto say, now we can do, if Arianna say, no, I prefer do this. Okay,
let's do that.
It's okay.
Right. Yeah.
You do not have a choice.
No.
Right. And so they will actually contribute ideas, and
yes, they do.
Quite happy about that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No problem about that. Oh.
Lots of ideas actually that came from them. For example, in one of the last projects that we did was Midsummer Night's Dream.
Shakespeare.
Yeah, Shakespeare. 3 of them, they were playing the roles of the comics, the comedians. And it was so funny because they improvised almost everything. So if you watch that show, those parts are all improvised. Every day it's a different line. You cannot control them. Every day it's a different line. And it's amazing because lots of ideas, they just straight came from them, but it's so natural and so perfect that we just keep them. We just keep them inside the project because it's perfect. It's the character. It's what they came out with, and it's just.
Spiegagli che poi il papà però li blocca tutte, cioè li lascia liberi all'interno della linea, diciamo, però blocca tutto e loro sono perfetti in quel blocco.
And the way we work with them as well is maybe we leave them free for a whole session. We leave them free and they came out with so many ideas. And my father, after, he decides which block of ideas is the best and it's the more convenient. And he blocks the scene and fixes the scene. And so the next time it's going to be like that.
And they are
with those ideas. And they're perfect. They're completely perfect. Maybe they add some more sometimes or they do less. But the things that we decide, it's just perfectly on time.
Because for us, at the last, the technician is very important.
Yeah, the technique.
The scene have to be fixed, perfect. And they are like watch.
Yeah. They're like a watch. They're like the time that they have. It's unbelievably perfect. There's no delay. They're always ready for everything.
And another thing I was interested in is when they come, do they have any? Do the participants have any sort of problem in moving away from themselves, or do they want to dramatize their own lives, or do they prefer to? I want to be a character. I want to be something different. I want to be a knight. Or
that's an interesting question because it's it depends. Some characters, some people, they actually do not fully understand their situation. So for them, it's completely normal to be themselves, and they actually when they are themselves, it's just they kind of interpret characters, but it's weird. It's not completely. It's not that they understand their situation. But some of them, for example, Christian, which is which is one of the actors that worked in our latest short movie. It's not in the video, unfortunately. It was not there. But for example, he had an accident. He was hit by a car while he was in a bicycle, and he could move only his upper part of the body, so from the shoulders up. The other part of the body is completely it's done, like it's not moving anymore. For him, it was very, very difficult at the beginning to accept his situation, and he's dramatized a lot. Like you could see he was a kind of,
tempistica.
Yeah, it's
his time.
Yeah, his time. It takes his time. It's kind of a long way to go for him, and so it mostly depends on the actual person. Everyone is kind of different, but let's say that most of them tend to be themselves at their best. Like they do not care too much.
And I was looking at the the list of sort of inspiring directors of Peter Brook, etc., Lee Strasberg, and their various techniques. Have you found a particular technique more successful than others, or do you just take a little bit of each and adapt to?
Maybe Grotowski.
Right.
Probably because he's closer. Maybe.
Yeah, it's closer to Peter Brook's way, probably.
And Peter Brook for direction. Maybe.
Peter Brook for direction, yes. Rather than others, we probably Grotowski and Peter Brook are the first ones, and then we have the other ones below.
Feeding as well.
Stanislavski is over.
Yeah, Stanislavski is like.
Above all, okay, right. But I mean, and would you get into? I mean, how would you get into their theory with this particular group of people?
Mostly games and group works, group improvisations, exercises.
Physical exercises.
Yeah, physical mostly, physical and kind of emotional. So we put on music, and we give maybe the direction of the exercise, and they maybe improvise on it. Or for example, I mean, sometimes we do also technique exercises, and they're actually really good at it. Like they have no problems at all.
Anche esercizi tecnici più precisi.
Yeah, the technical ones, the technical exercises actually, they're perfect. Like they have no problems at all. Some of them maybe have some problems to walk, and maybe you need to help them, but that's basically it. So
alcuni usano solo le braccia.
Yeah, some of them they just use the arms and the head.
And head and shoulders.
And also, but they can be really, really, really expressful. Like they can express everything, even with just using arms and heads, which is amazing, because sometimes we do not think of, like, as a personal experience. When I improvise, I take for granted lots of things, and you know, when you see them, you can actually understand completely the way to work properly and the way to express at their fullest, because they do it every day. They do it every single day. And that's the amazing side of it as well.
Yes. I mean, that came across. I mean, again, I don't want to start talking about the documentary prematurely. But that really comes across very strongly. And two things, I think we talked about this the other day, that during the interviews, the participants all said, oh, it was great fun, but they all said, oh, and it's hard work, and they were so delighted with these sort of technical exercises, these challenges. The hard work was almost, it seemed to be more important than the fun. Actually, I don't know whether it's proving to themselves something, I suppose it must be achieving, but it's so uplifting, and that was fantastic to see.
They actually are quite challenging to them. It's quite challenging to them, you know, like they always seek the challenge, even between each other. Sometimes you can see they kind of want to, you know, challenge themselves even more. Like they never stop. It's their machines, like working machines.
Input.
Yeah, and you need to, we keep giving like inputs, and you know, we push them sometimes, but they just go for it and they never stop.
Yeah.
So yeah, for them, hard work, it means a lot, I think.
Yes. I remember what I'm sorry, I'm inevitably slipping into the documentary again. I just on that point then, I just remember there was one moment where I can't remember the name of the performer, but there was someone who was talking very well, and one of the women came in and tapped him on the shoulder and said, you know, hey,
time.
Come on.
Yeah. So you can see there between those two, there's lots of you know, they're kind of enemies and friends. You know,
it's all very good, very good humor, but
they are two prima donna.
Yeah, they want to keep the primate. You know, like they need to be always perfect and always there. And so they challenge each other. Yeah, it's great. They're funny. They're so funny.
That's it. And I was wondering, the course that they do, is it how long is the course, and then what's the next stage for them? Is there a possibility that they can continue, or?
Yeah. So
the normal groups are 1 hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah, it depends on the group, on the day.
Quando facciamo la produzione nostra.
But when we do the production and we involve them, for example, on the Midsummer Night,
5 hours a day.
Yeah, Midsummer Night's Dream, for example, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
We worked.
It was hard.
It was long. It was a long way. We worked for a full month, from May to basically almost the end of June.
Yeah.
So it was
July.
a month and a half. No, July abbiamo. No, yeah. Probably even 2 months then.
1 month and a half, or 2 months.
Yeah, and so we worked almost every day for 5 or 6 hours a day, and they were there all the time.
Yeah.
All the time with no problems. Sometimes they got bored, so you need to keep them, you know,
a volte papà
fresh.
Programmava le prove.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. And so, but they were always there with no problem, like always charged up. And but
as you say, I mean, at the risk of stating the obvious, the kind of let's say the problems in inverted commas that you mentioned are
Yeah.
the problems that you would have with a again, for want of a better, a normal company, normal actors who work disabled,
Exactly.
stopping them getting bored.
Yeah, exactly.
The same.
It's completely the same. It's just.
I was wondering on that point about the difference between working with them in theatre and working with them for the film. I mean, two different media. Is a
Of course.
different approaches required, or
it's different approach. Can we keep going with the slides as well, so we can show also? Yeah. After we can talk about the movie. So about the difference between theater and movie. That's very well. The obviously it's in times, because if you think about it, in theater you're always active, you're always on the scene, you're always portraying a character, while on the movies you maybe have hours of long wait doing nothing, and maybe even days, like you go there and you don't do anything, and maybe you get bored and you get out of character. And so it's very difficult sometimes to keep the tension up as well when you do maybe a scene 20 times or 25 times. You need to be there all the time doing the same thing, but your head needs to be there and needs to be completely inside of the character. Yeah, and you need to repeat it. So sometimes for them it's not difficult, but maybe they get bored. But when they do the character, it's incredible, because they're always on point, always perfect, always with no problems at all, and which is unbelievable.
Diciamo che in teatro vedono subito il risultato. Diciamo. In theater they saw.
They see the result.
They see the result
right away as well, and
abbastanza velocemente.
They have the feedback right away, and
they feel in their body, they feel in their head.
They feel also the adrenaline all the time, you know, because you're on stage and you're in front of people.
In cinema when you do the third, the fourth,
it's kind of different. Yeah, they get sometimes. I mean, fifth. I can understand them, because after there was one time when they did it was 8 or 9 times the same scene over and over, and at a certain point,
maybe difficult to
Ariana was like, I don't care anymore.
She said, "Oh my goodness,
so
another time."
So you need to you need to say, "Come on, Ariana, let's do it one more." Yes, please. After I give you, let's go eat something after. Yes, don't worry. You need to kind of motivate them in ways, but it's completely. It would happen as well with other people. Like it's so fun though. It's so fun to work with them.
Però dopo si rivedono.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah.
No, so I was just going to say, and do you have future projects in mind? Future plays? Just what?
Yes.
Where? Yeah.
Not plays, but we are. I mean, the play that we are actually rehearsing right now, it's Midsummer Night's Dream. We are going to probably do it again next year. But the main thing we are working on right now with them, it's the actual movie that we are shooting here in the theater in Fonderia Aperta of Midsummer Night's Dream, and we're working a lot with them actually. During this summer, we did lots of sessions, and where we filmed over and over, and we almost did all the scenes with them, I think. Yeah, because we did all the comic ones, and we did almost all the Puck and the
Ci manca la seconda parte.
Yeah, we just missed the second part of the play, and we're done.
It's a long.
It's a long project. It's a very long project.
Because
but
imagine, yes, of course.
It's not a short movie; it's a long movie.
Yeah, it's a long movie, so it takes time.
Yeah, and I sort of just I'm going off slightly at a tangent. I just wonder, in terms of cooperation with the facilities or the institutions that the participants come from, does the theatre have much contact? Is there much cooperation? Is there any kind of follow-up work in their institutions or facilities, or that you know of? Or?
Well, we have
a project.
Yeah, just projects mostly with the organization. Yeah. So we work on we decide on the projects at the beginning of the year, basically, and then we work on blocks of projects every time and each year with them, with IAS.
Non siamo legati a niente.
No, we're not tied to any association.
Okay.
Completely. we just work with IAS, which is Italian Association for the Assistance to Spastic Disorders, which is here in Verona. And yeah, so we started with them and we always cooperated with them, and we do projects every year for them and with the guys, with the disabled people.
And in terms of the, is there any kind of, there's a very sort of, very sort of pedestrian questions, I'm so sorry, but I'm just, is there any sort of selection process? Does the institution say, this person would be good, or no, that person, it would be too much for that person? How are they chosen? How are they selected? If there is a selection process?
Mostly they ask a little bit selected, just because due to their due to their problems, mostly because there are some people that cannot work on basically anything.
Oppure facciamo vari gruppi di vari come livelli.
Or we make groups of different levels. Let's say. Maybe there's some new ones and there's some old ones, and so we differentiate the groups.
O chi può fare certe cose.
Yeah, exactly. And as well, they sometimes the association asks them directly, and they decide, the families decide of the guys if they want to do it or not. Some of them, they want to do it, they try one time, and after they say, no, I don't care anymore, and just stay home all day.
Yes.
It mostly depends on them.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, at least you try.
They say thank you very much.
Yes, okay.
Bye.
It's fun, but I do not like it.
That's right. Not for me. Lovely. Yeah. And I mean, for example, if a theatre here in Lisbon, for example, I don't know whether Cecilia or any colleagues can inform me. I'm not aware of any theatre in Lisbon having anything similar. Certainly nothing. If a theatre wanted to begin this, and say, okay, we're starting from absolute zero, we're starting from scratch.
Okay.
Please give us advice. What should we do? What should we not do?
Trovare una struttura buona,
find a good association that you can cooperate with.
A good partner.
Yeah, good partner. Like for us, IAS, it was just amazing. It was perfect. The way we work with them is just
they have
amazing.
to understand your path,
Yeah.
your idea.
You need to understand exactly.
C'è uno scambio.
There's a kind of exchange between each other, like a sort of trust as well, because I mean they're giving us their they're kind of people, so you need to have a certain trust between you and the agency and the company that you're working with.
Very important.
And
with the families.
With the families as well, mostly with the families as well.
The operator is very, very important.
It's very important to even, the first thing would be also to make contact with each member and, getting to know to them and getting to know to the families and, let them feel safe, let them feel at home, let them feel comfortable. And
it's a sort of a choice for them.
Yeah, it's a choice.
For example, Arianna choose to work with us and a lot of time she spent a lot of time with us. It's a choice. You need to kind of build up a trust also with the disabled people. First thing would be that. Then for the work, it's not difficult at all. Like it's you need to kind of get inside the rhythm of how they work and how can you cooperate with them. That's basically it.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Next,
Thank you.
No, I must have. I don't know. I must admit, I'm dying to see bits of the documentary. I don't know if it's time to show or if there's anything else that we. No, but it was so. It was. I know we're only going to see sections here, but I found parts of it so moving, which I was kind of expecting. I was kind of expecting to be moved, but I was moved more in terms of admiration.
Yeah.
And so uplifting. And I genuinely, after 5 or 10 minutes these people were just performers.
Yeah,
I honestly forgot. I forgot of their particular physical circumstance.
That's our goal.
And it was, as I say, I mean, uplifting. It really was. I came away, you know, floating on air. It was wonderful. It's wonderful work you're doing, I think. And to see their, again, it's so difficult to say this without sounding patronizing or condescending. I hope I don't come across as that, but the sense of achievement and the pride and the joy that they had, and rightly so, is wonderful, really marvelous. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'm starting to be like a fountain and gush, but no, it really was. It was a wonderful experience watching that documentary.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Okay, we can go to next slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are some points which are kind of our goals of this course. And we can see a conquest of integration and social inclusion, artistic and human growth and research. And going beyond the idea of a dedicated context, art does not rehabilitate a disabled person more than it rehabilitates an able-bodied person. That's very important.
Yes,
that's our main goal.
The aim that want IAS.
Yeah, exactly. That's our project with IAS. That's what we organize at the beginning of everything. Like we are not here to rehabilitate them. We're not here to make them normal. We're just here to
because they
are normal.
They rehabilitate.
Exactly.
Us.
They rehabilitate us in
maybe
sort of ways. Yeah.
So
but we are here to make them express their feelings, make them integrate into society, make them feel comfortable, make them feel safe, make them kind of change them in a way, change them, but their soul inside. So they can be, for example, we work a lot with groups, as I was saying, and in groups they're just like completely amazing. Then we look for the potential of people through their talent as people, body language, voice, and speech as primary thrusts to reach expression while respecting the possibilities of individual participants, the respective limits and times used to carry out the study. So here, as I was saying before as well, anyone, for example, an exercise, they have to sit on a chair. Everyone sits on a chair in a different way. Some can, some others can in another way. It doesn't matter. It's just the meaning of the final product of the exercise, which is important. So sitting on this chair, the way you do it, it doesn't actually matter. And that's what we want to do it as well. We respect the difference that everyone has. Next slide, please. Now we are gonna see probably a documentary. The documentary shows a set of moments of pictures linked through the social relationship between individuals, which emerge and are shaped through improvising, studying, working on the body, the voice, the actor's work, using languages, verbal, bodily, musical combination, as primary thrust to arrive at individual expression, respecting the possibilities of the individual participants, limits and times, attitudes and abilities to use the medium of the theater. Next slide. It's divided into sections, which is going to be workshops, interviews, spontaneous expression of thoughts and reactions, which is beautiful and it's funny. Specific workshop moments, and between theater and film, which is we're gonna see something at the end of it, and film experiments as well. Next slide, thank you. And we can see 3 moments that Sidia took, and we can see it on after we're gonna watch it in the actual short movie, the documentary. Next slide.
And now there is the video.
Documentary, perfect.
Okay.
Signorina, non sono sposata io. Ormai ancora piccolina io. Non sposare. Ancora aspettare assai. Non sposare. non c'è ancora tempo per sposare. Vorrebbe unirsi e sposare, ancora c'è tempo.
Per me il teatro mi dà tanta emozione.
Shall I move to the next part?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, if you'd like, I can say something about this while you search for the next one. You saw some of the work that we actually do on a daily basis with them. You can see we work a lot with as a group, you know, and these exercises are very important. It's mostly improvisation, and we put on musics and we make them improvise on musics. We do not give any lines, like any feedback to it at the end. We just let them completely free, do whatever they want, and their stage is completely theirs. They can do anything. That's basically our way to work with them at the beginning, mostly. Yeah, you can go next one.
Cerco di nuovo di salvarmi, credo in un'altra cosa.
Vedo l'acqua luccica, ben fontana ritira, fontana di travi, tutte do, beh resta soltanto tu dattina dell'amore e del cuore sta in te, fontana di travi. Sono tristezza dolore.
Concentrata con me. Chiudo gli occhi.
And here you have seen as well some other types of exercises where we give actual rules at the beginning, and meanwhile we do the actual exercises. And so they kind of follow a path that we give them, and so we can lead them to a final product. Yeah.
Metti le braccia lungo il corpo.
Le braccia lungo il corpo, tieni i muscoli e vai.
Dai,
Vai.
dai. Piano, piano.
Piano Martina, brava. Così. Vai. Piano, piano. Senti che leggiadra.
Stai su, stai su, stai su.
Perché se non mi fermo.
Giusy, te ne sei andato?
Niente, Giusy.
Aiuto! No, non la faccio solo.
This is a very interesting exercise. This takes as well lots of trust between each other in the group and with us as well. But it's amazing how they just did it with no problems at all. Sometimes when you do it in let's say normal groups, they're kind of like, I don't know, I don't want to do it. They just take they just set aside and they don't do it. But for them it's just like, oh, let's do it. I can't wait to do it. Like they don't stop in front of anything. It's like they're tanks. These are another parts of improvisation that you can see we involve as well a lot the body, mostly rather than the actual words. We do have voice exercises, but we rather use more the body than anything else. And we do also, you can see acrobatic side of it or as well. You can see handstand here. Yep, you can go.
I'll go to the interviews.
Yeah, perfect.
E io vedo il teatro, ci farei un bellissimo spettacolo e che parla anche della mia vita teatrale. Ma tantissimi, potrei farne anche 10 se potessi. Invitare anche uno popolare di montagna che venisse a cantare insieme a noi. Dario. Vedo che Dario non si sbriga e non so cosa farci. Tu cosa puoi fare? Dario, io devo dirti una cosa. Se porti anche la fisarmonica, anche una che c'è qua, suoniamo insieme. Dario, sei d'accordo?
Io sono Piero Pelù. Scusate. E fai il comico, non la protagonista. L'agonista deve essere attore, deve essere faccio a fare un attore. Fammi pensare. Fare... Che cosa deve diventare, prego?
È la parte di un re che è sempre indiavolato. Sì.
Non ne segua solo a me.
Sì,
Sì.
la parte di un
Certo.
re che è sempre incazzato.
Oh, non sono incazzati, perché incazzato.
Beh, se no
Marci com'era?
la parte di un ubriaco che cammina per la bottiglia di mano.
E com'era Marci? Com'era?
Beh, era un po' così che barcolava. Sì, quindi le faceva un po' la parte e camminava un po' così.
Spara. Allora, questo teatro è molto grande, quindi faccio la parte, faccio tanti soldi al rapporto! Quindi questo teatro poi questo teatro è un grande, poi io allora io vi ringrazio e quindi sono contento di questo teatro, è molto grande, quindi grazie a tutti.
Ditemi quello che volete sapere, io apro il mio libro. Allora, mi sveglio alle 7:30.
Ma 7:30?
Non, Roberto, tieni il timer, perché io parlo, Roberto. Tieni il timer e dimmi stop. Marco Di Marzio è un operatore che bisognerebbe ascoltare tanto. Non farlo arrabbiare, bisognerebbe ubbidirgli sempre. Sempre. Perché l'operatore? Ma davvero posso dirlo? Non è che dopo... No, è l'operatore più buono, ma davvero bisognerebbe fargli un monumento a una persona del genere, secondo me. Fare un grande monumento a Marco Di Marzio. Arianna, il teatro. Allora, io ho iniziato da un mio operatore e ha detto alla mamma, scusa, è vero, devo guardare lì, scusami. E ha detto alla mamma, volete fare teatro? La prima volta e io e io ho accettato di fare teatro. C'è una cosa che vorrei dire. Bisognerebbe ascoltare sia la Marina, la Giulia. Un'altra cosa. Io devo dire grazie a una persona per lo 0 assoluto. Quando abbiamo fatto l'esercizio dello 0 assoluto, quello mi è piaciuto tanto. Ti metti, allora metti le mani basse, così. Così e vieni su azzerata. Beh, è stato un grande amico. Alfredo è colpito.
This is Alfredo, by the way.
Okay.
So what you saw here is this part of the interview is actually an exercise, a very important exercise. It's called the chair exercise. And it's an interesting one because we usually do it at the end of the classes, not always, but in a certain specific moments, mostly at the beginning of the years, maybe with new people as well. Because the rules of this exercise is you go sit on the chair and you talk about it's either yourself or you say a story. And to some of them, we gave the direction. We said, speak about theater, speak about yourself and about theater together. But the things that comes out from this chair exercise, sometimes it can be really challenging, you know, it's because it can be something very inside yourself. And this is a very good exercise to open up and as well to start to clean your body from everything that involves your normal everyday life. And to them, it's mostly a piece of cake. And for example, Alessandro, which is the second guy, he just loves to do it and he never gets up. And that's why Arianna came at the end and he just says, please get up. It's not your turn anymore. You've been sitting here for 20 minutes. It's done. Like, it's over. And he's like, no, come on, go away. I want to do more. Yeah. Okay, you can show the next scene.
Okay, I'll go to the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Miro ti fa un baffo, Filippo.
Beh, si vede adesso.
And I'll go to the slides.
Yes. Yes, so this particular project, it came out as, at the beginning, as it's kind of a joke, you know, a game between us and him. His name is Filippo. And one day we were doing one of the classes with them, and my father came out with the name of, I think it was the same year as the movie Joker came out. And he actually saw it like 1 week before or something like that. And he just loved the character. And as soon as my father said the word Joker, oh, it was over, completely over. All the day he was mimicking Joaquin Phoenix non-stop. So we decided to make the scene with him. And he was, let's do it, come on. And so we decided to, so we made the character, we found the clothes, kind of similar, and we started to shoot the actual scene. It was such a great experience, and it was so much fun. He was great. It was very interesting as well. It was our, I believe it was the first time, no, the second time we were working in an actual movie, or short movie, or you know, movies in general with them. And the first part, that the first video that now you saw, he improvised everything. We gave him only the makeup. We gave him a little bit of directions, but everything else he just improvised, completely copying Joaquin Phoenix and adding something about himself inside of it. And he was perfect. It's unbelievable. He was completely perfect, no problems at all. I think it took like 4 or 5 times. Okay. And you can see other images that probably at the end of this meeting, you can see also this part. And this image as well is very nice. Yeah, there we go. All right.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is our other project that we did with them, as I was saying before. It's the Midsummer Night's Dream, the Shakespeare play. We did it before COVID. It's 2 years before COVID. We started on this project. It was an amazing experience with them, and they were playing the parts of the comedians. I was in the role of Puck, and then you can see as well the bottom while he's getting transformed into into the horse, into the donkey. And you can see Roberto, and that's top right, and my mother as well, which the parts of Lisandro and Hermia. I don't know if it's in English, it's the same. And then this is our kind of one of the last projects that we finished, and it's now touring around different festivals in the world, which is our short movie called Capolinea, The Last Stop. It's a movie that we did with 2 of our actors of the disabled people, which on the right you can see Claudio Casarini, and on the left you can see Christian, the guy that I was telling you about before, the guy that had an accident. He was hit by a car and now he's blocked on a wheelchair. This project was very, very interesting as well, because it was kind of a big project. We actually blocked some streets in Verona. We rented a bus. It's kind of a big project, and working with them was really, really impressive. This was, I believe, the first ever project that we did with them as a movie project, and it was the first time. And working with them was very interesting as well. Working with mostly Christian, because you can see when you watch this movie, you can see his the passion that he brought out as his character, portraying his character. He's basically portraying himself on an everyday basis, everyday life, as well as Claudio Casarini. And Christian lives inside a facility, and Claudio, he's not living inside a facility, he lives by himself. I think he lives close to the city center of Verona. So you can see these 2 different worlds between each other, and they connect cause of a woman. They are in love with a woman. And you can see the different festivals that we were in. It's not all of them because we cannot kind of fit them anymore. But we are so happy that it's going around the globe right now, and we are hoping for, it keeps going like that, and for new projects in the future as well.
And okay, if you want to ask.
Yeah, if you want to ask some more question, Mike, whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, how, I mean, congratulations on the fantastic, obviously. How has it been received? By which I mean, has it been received as a film in its own right, or has it been sort of put into a, as it were, a special category? Okay, this is a film for a disabled film. I just wondered.
It was as a foreign short movie.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, foreign short movie was inside the category.
See.
Yeah, it's
okay.
indie foreign short movie. That's what it was stating the category. There's no such category as
Qualcuna.
C'è qualcuna di disabilità?
Not in all.
Not in all the countries, maybe.
Yeah, not in all
some
the
countries.
festivals.
In some festivals, in some countries, they do have an actual. Yeah, but it's just a few. They do have an actual category of disabled people, but just a few festivals and just in a few countries, not in all of them.
But this one stands on its own merits as a film that just happens to have disabled people in it, exactly. which is exactly. great, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, feel free to ask. I think Maria. Yeah, you can unmute yourself, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Can I please? Yes, thank you. Okay. Thank you very, very much for this wonderful project you share with us. To respond to Mick, I'm quite familiar with institutions for people with disability, and I know a center where there is indeed a group that does some acting, and also a group that does some dancing. Okay. But what is so different and what impresses me so much about your project is that it is professional. It's not a project inside an institution, because when the projects are inside the institutions, they end up being kind of, ways of passing the time under the title of creativity, and they kind of end up dead, or do some performances at Christmas or an in-school Christmas party. And I'm really extremely impressed with your project and with the what I've seen in the documentary of the persons living and expressing themselves. And perhaps this is an answer for all of us, people with and without significant disabilities. Yeah. It's first of all working together in a project.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
coming together. Yeah,
that's really important.
Yes, but whatever the project, it can be something very simple, like we all go for a walk or something, or whatever, and can be something much more sophisticated, as is your project. And what impressed me is that there is a real intermediary space, a space between what is called people with disability and people with no disabilities, and where they can live and be themselves. It's a space where they can live. It's a living space.
Exactly.
And I think it is because it's professional. It's professional. You really demand things from them. You make them responsible. I'm very, very impressed, and I'm extremely thankful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have a question from the public.
Yes.
And the question is from Gianni. And he writes, every play is like a coin. It has two sides. We've got the written text that it is fixed, and then aspects connected with its realization on stage that depend on the specific qualities of the actor who plays them. So I was wondering if you could give one example of how a person with a specific physical or mental condition embody the character remarkably well by virtue of their condition. In other words, how did the specificity of their condition make their interpretation possible in such a way that couldn't have been possible otherwise? Thank you, Gianni, for this wonderful question.
For this question. Alfredo.
Si fa una scelta,
Sì.
cioè si fa una
I was
scelta.
thinking about, I think you saw, for example, Alfredo, which is the last guy, the guy that was doing that at the end, the Cupid one. So he was playing one of the comedians in the Midsummer Night's Dream, and he played his role. He was when they prepared the show, he was playing the role of Tisbe. He was mimicking Tisbe, but the fun part about him is he's has a Down syndrome, but the way he is, he's super strong. It's amazing. He does lots of sports and activities, and he also does judo. He's like super strong. It's amazing. And playing the role of Tisbe in that situation made him completely out of bounds, because you can see he's not Tisbe. He's not like, he's completely different, you know. It's completely the other side of the coin. But thanks to his, thanks to his disorder, let's say in a way, and thanks to his physics of the body, he could actually embody a Tisbe in such a comedic way that it's completely, I mean, the ideas that came out from him, I don't know, it looks like an expert, like someone that had 40 years of career on the back. The way he portrayed as well. And
you, come si dice, rompi cliché.
yeah,
you broke the...
He break every single cliche that maybe a normal actor has on Tisbe, for example.
Yes.
For him, he just doesn't care. He just plays whatever he wants. And so for that reason, he played it in a way that is just mind-blowing. And whenever he was on stage, you just die of laughter. You cannot contain yourself. And because he made it also in a way, his tone of voice was like super high-pitched for some reason, because he was playing a role of a woman, I guess. And so he was entering the scene and you couldn't understand anything. No words of it was saying, of what he was saying, but he just didn't care. So we putting a microphone in front of his face, and it was like just like saying nonsense. It's funny. And that's probably one of the ways that you can see the actual disability, you know, kind of not improving, but just changing the way that we normally portray a character.
Yeah, because Roberto wants to break cliché.
Exactly. Roberto, when he works, he wants to break normal cliches of characters. And as well, okay, Christian. Christian as well, the person the guy on the wheelchair. For him playing that role, he needed to play. He's in love with this woman, but basically the meaning of the movie is that these two disabled people are in love with the same woman and cannot kind of express their feelings, and they cannot open up themselves to her. They cannot confess their love. And for Christian, which 3 or 4 years prior, he had this unfortunate accident. For him, he was, you know, testing himself in a way. But also the way that his expressions on the face, for example, because he cannot use his whole body anymore. So he needs to express everything with the face, with his shoulders, with his upper side of the body. And you can see completely everything that he wants to say when he's acting. And that's the wonderful part of it. as I was saying before, we take that we have everything in order. We take for granted lots of things that we have in life, but for some other people, they do not have them. And so they need to compensate in other ways.
In fact, working with them, they change a lot.
Yeah.
And for us is very important, this changing.
Yeah, it changes them and it changes us as well. The perspective of everything, life and everything else.
And the direction of
the direction as well. It changes completely. It's life-changing in a way.
Yeah, punto di movimento, shifting point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shifting the point.
Yes, Peter Brook.
Yes.
Okay, but is really a point of view that continues
keeps moving and changing. Yeah.
I have a question. Is that okay if I?
Yeah.
And yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you very much for. As I understand how Mick says that it's very uplifting. The whole project and the whole idea of, I was very not impressed, I was very touched by Arianna. Was that Arianna that was speaking?
Yeah, Arianna.
And she says, I was asked, get up and, she was giving her daily diary and get up at 7:30, etc. And then she says, I was asked to make theatre, and that's what I do, I make theatre.
Yeah, she's a prima donna. She's a prima donna in all the ways.
But it's so dignifying as well, no? Isn't it? Like,
yes, exactly.
And she knows that.
She knows it completely. Yes, she does.
Yeah. So I thought that was brilliant. And also, when you say in some of the slides earlier on in your technique of basically training your actors, you say that you basically make people blank. You blank them out, but then you let them express who they are as well at the same time. And that reminded me of something that Nanni Moretti, the Italian film director, I think it was in a film, Mia Madre, my mother, which is to do with death, and he accompanies his mother towards death, basically prepares her, and himself and herself, because it's a female film director. And that one thing that he says to his actors is, you're just acting too much. I don't want to see the actor. I don't want to see the part. I want to see you, but I also want to see you next to the part. And it's got this kind of comical way of putting the real person next to the mask, basically. And then, so my question, and the other thing I wanted to say, so I have two questions here. One question was, are you aware, I lived in New Zealand at the very beginning of this century, 21st century, for a couple of years, and there was, I was attending a lot of dance shows. I was doing some dance, like contact improvisation myself, and yoga and other stuff like that. And I was part of a very small company, but I know that there were shows with differently abled actors, and I remember one in particular when there was a guy in a wheelchair, and he had been connected with ropes and lifted up top, with the other dancers. They were like a very aerial work with the wheelchair, and he was moving his arms because, like this disabled person you talked about, his head and only his arms could move, nothing else. But it was amazing. So I was just wondering, I remember that, but I don't know very much about that other companies. Do you know about other companies around the world that do this kind of work? And the second question was, I think I've forgotten about it. This is obviously very dignifying because it involves people of all abilities together at the same level. And as Maria was saying before, it's very touching, it's very dignifying. Do you work also with professionals that, like with medics, for example, or professionals that have to work with disabled people, and so they can improve? Because it's also the relationship, isn't it, between professionals and disabled people that maybe could be, I don't know if you work with them as well, or if you have in mind.
We had a few cases that we had some doctors or some medics that came actually to do some theater courses to get to know better the disabled people or as well themselves. And we had lots of as well, lots of psychologists and psychiatric sides of it as well. And as well, we have lots of operators of the actual IAS that comes to work with us.
Because IAS is a big
it's a big organization. So they have multiple operators that comes in.
Yeah.
And yeah, we work with quite a few of them. Sometimes we had like 5 or 6
yes, because they have some projects, different projects. So
they get to know as well like them better, and they get to understand them better. And it's good to create bonds as well, which is it's really nice.
Per la compagnia ci sono tanti che lavorano, però
for the company, there's others that work
in tutto il mondo,
in all the globe. There's other
a lot of people that work with in Italy. C'è anche stato, adesso vado, comunque ci sono compagnie importanti che lavorano con there are very important companies that work with the disabled people. But one in particular, I don't know, one in particular.
There's one in particular, we don't remember the name right now, but yeah, there's others realities that actually work with like that. There's a lot.
I don't know if they have our
system, let's say.
Method.
Our method. But it's kind of different, but there's different that have these kind of projects.
Probably every company have personal types of work. Yes.
So, yeah.
And do you mix? Sorry, just to complete. Do you mix together other professionals that work with disabled people and disabled people, or differently abled people, acting together sometimes? Do you have mix?
Yeah.
We mix. For example.
Sorry, I didn't mean professional actors. I meant professional medics or psychologists. We train them to be actors as well.
Yeah, a few times happened that they came in and they did some work with them, and so they could know it. They could know better. And as well, we do another type of mixing, which is
Pippo Del Bono era. Sorry.
Pippo Del Bono. The company is Pippo Del Bono.
Do you know Pippo Del Bono?
Yeah, he works. He works a lot
with disabled people.
Yeah.
He has Bobo. He's come si chiama il suo mentore.
His mentor. His teacher, basically.
He died a couple of years ago, and has a problem of mentally challenged. And lui era in ogni suo spettacolo.
Yeah, he was in every show that People Del Bono made.
Vivessero anche assieme. Lui l'avesse adottato.
They lived together probably as well.
Yeah.
He kind of adopted him.
Yes, it's a kind of mix with the life and the work. Is a choice.
A choice.
It's a choice.
A choice of living, yeah.
Yeah. If you want to work really in deep, have to do a choice.
Yeah, you need to give them the fullest. Like you cannot. It takes time and effort, but it's. The end of it, it's just, it's completely amazing. It's perfect. Like there's no complaints. Either from us or from them. I don't know from them, but from us.
Thanks very much. I'm going to leave someone else if someone else has questions. So yeah.
Thank you.
I was just wondering that after the participants have done the course with you, do they carry on? I'm getting feedback here. Do they carry on and get involved in other projects, or for example, do they do? I don't know how long the course is, but do they do a year with you, a production with you, and then what happens? Can they come back and do another one, or do they go?
Yeah, they come back. Mostly they come back. It happened that a few of them they just got bored, and maybe it's sort of a balanced way. I don't know. Some of them get bored really easily, and so they just like prefer to stay home or prefer to do other things rather than spending one night coming in here. Too much work, too much physical work, So they're like, I'm just gonna stay home. So
as anyone does it.
maybe for even a half of a year, and then they come.
Yeah.
They come back again.
Maybe
It's just like
30%.
Yeah, 30%. Yeah.
And 70
stay, and then 30 they just go away. Maybe they come back later. Yeah. It's just random. But most of the times they come back because they love it, they enjoy it.
And then there is Arianna.
Arianna is always here, always.
Okay. Well, Arianna will be running the theatre in about a year's time.
I believe so. She will.
No, because I just wondered what the possible the possible dangers of getting involved and having such an experience and then kind of being, oh, that's it,